Ve la hora. Antes había una gente nadando allá y un ferry.
Still in Guatemala. Apparently some of our guys from last night have shown up and started to get in contact with us, so that's good. That's making me feel a little better. Maybe I took them the wrong way. Maybe I was just tired. I don't know. We're going to find out what's going on. When I went on this trip, or when I made the decision to come here and to dissolve everything I had in the United States, I knew full well that I shouldn't be bringing anything down here that I wasn't okay with losing, including my life. I knew that this was a very serious journey, which could be very dangerous, and it was a risk that I accepted, mostly because I had to. If somebody finesses me, cool. I've already kind of, I've already put that into the itinerary. Somebody somewhere is going to get me, and that's fine. You can take anything I got, just don't take my dogs, don't take my life. The rest of it, I can always make more money. I can always have more things or buy another car or whatever. Just don't kill me. If you want something I have, just take it. I don't need it that bad. Obviously, you need it more than I do. Please have it, sir. I hope your life is awesome. All right, so we are finally in Guatemala. We're legal, we're driving, and we're making our way through this country, hopefully as quickly as possible. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of here so far. The border crossing was really, really sketchy. There were a couple of guys. There were a team of 3 of them last night. And luckily, the same 3 people were men of their words. They came back to help us, and they saw us through. But to get through the migration checkpoint, or to get through customs and immigration, took hours and hours. So we sat there, waited, had to go to a million places. That's something that you come to find out about traveling through these countries, is when you get there to the office, there's going to be another office that you have to go to get another kind of paperwork that you have to take to some other office first before you can come back and visit that office, which is always on the opposite side of the building for some reason. They like to make sure that their citizens are healthy and get their exercise. Stopped to get gas a little bit ago, and then we stopped at another gas station. I guess we're going to get some drinks and stuff. Definitely need some water. I don't know what it is. Today, for whatever reason, not feeling too hot. I don't know whether, I kind of feel like I'm coming down with something, which would make sense because I've passed through all these places with all of these unfamiliar germs that I've never had to deal with before. So, that might be the case. I don't know, but I know one thing. I don't sleep very good on the road. This is day 9 now, and I'm ready for day 10 to be the last day. I am ready to get to where I'm going and just take a week off. I mean, that's all I've wanted for like 6 years, is just to have some time off and just to be able to rest and relax and recharge. And God, this has been the longest journey of my life, an incredible adventure to be certain, but extremely stressful at times and extremely frustrating at others. So this is Guatemala. We're maybe 5 kilometers inside of the north border. Okay, so let me give a little credit where it's due. So far, we've been through 2 police checkpoints, and everybody was really cool. They asked us where we were going, where we were coming from, basic stuff. Never asked us to get out of the car, never searched the vehicle. They were all smiles and all take care and pura vida and all this other good stuff. So, the interactions have been really cool. One thing I've noticed about this country is that there are a lot of indigenous people. It seems like most of the people living here are native. of some kind, or mixed with native. They look quite different than northern Mexicans, and look, kind of similar to southern Mexicans, but a lot more indigenous looking for the most part. Now, granted, there are different kinds of people everywhere at this point, but one thing I've noticed, it doesn't really seem to be, and I don't want to talk trash about anybody's country, and I've only seen a small part of it so far, but the border was super sketchy, and it doesn't really seem to be a high rent area. So that's another thing, is all the constant conversion from different currencies, because the United States has its own currency, Mexico has its own currency, Guatemala now has its own currency. What do they call dollars here?
Quetzales.
Quetzales. So there's all these conversions going on. But anyway, as far as I can tell, it is cheaper here than in Mexico. And Mexico is pretty freaking cheap. Yeah, I don't know about this spot, guys. And like I said, I've not seen much of this country, but it looks pretty low rent, pretty run down. I mean, it's, honestly, for lack of better terms, it's ghetto here. The amount of heightened vigilance that I've had for the last few days has been just absolutely exhausting. I mean, we're going on day 9 of just like hyper vigilance, because I'm in an unfamiliar place. I don't know what goes on here. I'm constantly watching out, constantly seeing if anybody's around the car. Call me paranoid, but this is a totally unfamiliar environment. And my buddy over here is a Tico. He's from Costa Rica. He speaks Spanish really, really well. He's a Latin American. But all of these places are different. Mexico is different than Guatemala. Guatemala is different than Costa Rica. And if things continue on that trend, I would imagine that El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua all have their unique differences. But so far, here in Guatemala, it seems to be the most, the most sketchy. I hate to keep saying that, but I mean, that's the vibe I get. That's the vibe I've gotten since before I crossed the border. And yeah, I don't know. Excuse the mess. We've been more or less living in here, and I mean, of course, almost every time we stop, cops take everything out of the car and mix everything up, search everything. So everything's a mess in here. But you're gonna need a lot of documents on a trip like this. We have passports. We have I have the title for my car, the vehicle permit. And registration for Guatemala. I've got paperwork for the dogs. This is all like rabies, vaccinations, make sure they're up to date on their shots, make sure they've been checked out by a vet and everything's good. And then here's the whole receipt for that at Concord Parkway Animal Hospital. And so that, I did that in the United States before I left, as some of you might remember from an earlier video. But anyway, this is all just vaccination stuff. I got the rabies tags, bam, bam, bam. And then just some other information about, but anyway, yeah, I mean, a lot of paperwork. A lot of running back and forth, making copies. If I could do this all over again, I would have made 10 copies of everything and just had them ready. Things appear to be steadily improving as we get further away from the border here in Guatemala. I'm not going to say that they have improved much, but they said the vibe has definitely improved. The border towns are always sketchy. That's where you have all the cartels. That's where you have conflict, gangs, people fighting for territory, for to pass drugs or whatever. So and there's a lot of money in that stuff. So it becomes dangerous. I mean, these people will fight and kill over this territory. I mean, just like gangs in the United States do. So the faster that you can get in and out of the border towns, generally speaking, the better it is. The same was true with Mexico. And honestly, the worst thing that's going to happen to you here is you might get mugged or carjacked, or maybe stabbed. But these people don't have guns. I mean, they unless they're you know, part of some cartel or something like that. Generally speaking, you've got low-level thieves and people like that are committing crimes around here. You know, some carjacking, things like that. Keep your doors locked. Keep your windows up. You know, be safe. Be aware. Don't sit in one place for too long. Don't look lost. Look like you have somewhere to be. Look a little mad if you have to. All of these things will help you to survive a situation like this. So Jorge is explaining to me that we're on a road right now which is parallel to the border. We're several kilometers away from the border at this point, but we're coming up on the intersection to go left where we should have continued straight last night. However, of course, they were closed there. But that was more of like an official border crossing. There were a lot of people in uniform. There weren't very many people in uniform here. I mean, most of the people that were working, helping you, were plainclothes people. You couldn't tell the difference between them and the people on the street. So now we're approaching the intersection to take a left where we should have gone straight. And at that border crossing, we wouldn't have had all these issues. We wouldn't have had all these people trying to see what they could get out of us and all this. One of the guys, the only thing he would ask me is like, hey, what do you have in the car? Or how much money do you have? Like, I want a tip from you. Like, how much money are you going to give me and all this stuff? And I was like, man, I got the same thing you do. A shirt, pants, zapatos. Yep. Passing yet another checkpoint here in Guatemala, we just went right on through. Nobody made eye contact with us. Nobody was standing by the road. They had some other cars pulled over, so I guess they were occupied. And, well, we just kept right on driving. No problem. So what I've seen here so far in Guatemala, it just, I don't know, it seems a lot more like Asia or India than other Latin American countries. Mexico appears to be just about as affluent, except for in the small towns, as the United States. Here, we aren't exactly outside of the border yet, but we'll be soon. Alright, so I've seen quite a few of these guys roaming around, street preachers. I've also passed a Jewish synagogue not too long ago. But yeah, these guys have it going on. They have their little setups and their megaphones. They just wander around. Well, feeling better, so that's good. I think I'm gonna be all right. A little sun, a little water does the body good. We're on to greener pastures and headed towards El Salvador. This country is quite small, so I mean, from one side to the other, I think George said it was like 500, maybe 600 kilometers, which I don't know in miles. I mean, I would guess maybe like 300 or 350. So we should be able to traverse the entire country in one day, you know, barring catastrophe or getting stuck behind a collapsed bridge or a wreck or something crazy like that. Should be able to get through today, and which I have no problem with. I would like to get out of here. Apparently El Salvador is now really, really nice. Most of the American people I've spoken to don't know about this. Everybody still assumes it's just the place of the Maras, you know, the MS-13 gangs and everybody else. But they have a new president, or have had a new president for quite some time, that is really, really tough on gang violence and gang crime. And they've locked all of them up in this huge prison they've built, which is super modern and state-of-the-art. George is telling me that El Salvador went from being the worst country in Latin America and the most dangerous to actually being the safest. If you look behind me, you will see one of the infantry battalions of the Guatemalan army. There's a guy with an M16 out front. He was friendly though, I waved. He waved back. So here we are at an ATM. Cajero is apparently a bank. I've never heard that name before. George is gonna go in, see if we can withdraw some cash. They have armed security here. Almost like a truck stop or something. So I don't know what that guy was guarding because that ATM doesn't work. So I guess he's just guarding the building. I don't know. Anyway, we're taking off. We could probably turn around and go back into this little city here.
Next gas station.
But yeah, we'll stop at the next one and get some cash. We don't want to keep backtracking. We just want to keep going. So we'll find another one somewhere soon. But we need to pull over, feed the dogs, give the dogs water. We need food. But at the same time, we don't really want to hang out here too much. Our saving grace. I don't know how long it's been since we've seen a McDonald's, but we stopped at a bunch of them in the United States. The only place we can get Wi-Fi. So this is kind of an inside joke between Jorge and I at this point, but La M Amarillo. It's like Amarilla. No, Amarillo? Amarilla. Okay, I said that wrong. La M Amarilla. Anyway, headed there now. We look for these like the bat symbols because we know they have Wi-Fi, bathrooms, water, and it's just become our truck stop. We didn't see any in Mexico, but now that we're in Guatemala. And no, we did see one in Mexico, in Monterrey. In Monterrey.
Cities, right?
Yeah. Outside you don't see them. Just passed another nightclub. I don't know if I'm going to go to a nightclub in Guatemala. You know, we're brave enough to attend one in Mexico, and that was an interesting experience. About all I'll tell you about that. Almost looks like America over here. Almost. Not quite. George is going in to get some food. I'm getting ready to have a Big Mac at a Guatemalan McDonald's. You know, in a lot of these Latin American countries, especially in the major cities, they have all of the same things that we have in the United States. I mean, literally all of them, for the most part. Like, most of your major chains, like there's a Pizza Hut right over there. This is a McDonald's. There's some other American chains here as well. But yeah, anyway, we have food, we have internet, we have water. I mean, this is the spot. Well, this almost looks like America. Almost. Mejores? What does that say? Mejores ingredientes, mejor pizza. Of course, they had to open up right across the street from a Domino's that showed everybody how much better they are than Domino's. There is McDonald's right over there. So I guess I found Little America in Guatemala, and it's similar, but not quite. And the Q there is quetzales, the currency they use here in this country. Another nightclub. You want to stop? Just kidding. George said it was too early. Maybe later. Just kidding. We're going to El Salvador.
I got it.
So this is the money that they use here in Guatemala. These are quetzales. This is 500 or 500. So, yeah, this is the money. Again, not as pretty as Costa Rica's. Definitely kind of a lower value currency. But we have some. We can conduct whatever business we need to conduct while here. So this is one of the slips they give you. So you can see here that the amount dispensed was $78 US, which equivalates to 500 Guatemalan quetzales. However, George used his card, which is in Costa Rican colones, so it converts from colones to dollars to quetzales. But this kind of gives you a rough idea of how much how much money in American dollars 500 dollars is, which of course it goes much further here. Highway. We haven't seen one of those in, well, since we've been here. It's nice to go a little faster. That was one of the coolest damn trees I've ever seen.
Keep talking, guys. Hot. It's about 90 degrees. I heard my Mexican friends told me, and I quote, "I've never heard anybody say that they want to take a vacation to Guatemala." I don't know what that says, but the whole place appears to me to be kind of like a big flea market. This is definitely still a developing nation. Costa Rica is quite developed. Mexico, in places, especially in the major cities, is extraordinarily developed. Here, there are small pockets in more populated areas, which do have a lot of the conveniences of modern life, for better or for worse. But all the way in between each of these places, you see a lot of indigenous people. You see a lot of people with a very traditional way of life, carrying bundles of sticks on their heads. Okay, so George is showing me the map. Apparently, we have been through a very small portion of Guatemala. Have it up here on, where at? Oh, right there, I see. Okay, so if we look here on the map, we are right there in Guatemala. We're just past the border and we're headed south toward Costa Rica. So we can go through El Salvador, which is there, and then a little bit of Honduras, and then Nicaragua, and then we'll finally be home in Costa Rica. But maybe I haven't seen enough of this country to make an accurate representation or an accurate stance on whether or not I like it here. So far, I like Mexico better. Another checkpoint. I know, it's checkpoint.
passed 4 or 5 checkpoints, and we have not been harassed at all by the police here in this country. That is one positive. In Mexico, we were getting searched at every stop. But one thing that George has informed me of is that here in Central America, it's very, very common to have a license plate on the front, and almost all of the countries do it. I think in fact all of them do require a tag on the back and on the front. However, the car is registered in North Carolina, where they do not require a tag to be on the front of the vehicle. So, that being the case, we look suspicious, even though the car is legal, even though everything is fine. And obviously, once I get down here, I'm going to unregister the vehicle or import it into Costa Rica, and I have to pay whatever taxes are associated with that. You know, all of the bougie tropical plants and monsteras and Swiss cheese this and pothos that we go crazy over in the United States. Yeah, that shit just grows up the side of a building here. Well, this is my kind of a spot. This is a plant nursery. Plant nursery is a plant nursery. Beautiful. Oh, Taco Bell. God, I don't know what in the world that we're passing or going through or what, but it smells terrible. I mean, it smells like straight sewage right here where we're at. I've never, ever smelled something this bad. Oh, God. It's so bad. This is an absolutely massive, we've already passed most of it, sugarcane processing facility where they'll take the cane and refine it into sugar, I imagine. The sign over here, Estación Salida de Cañeros. It's the exit for the sugarcane plant here. I'm just warning you to look out for trucks. So when we talk about the danger level of Latin American countries, generally speaking, the poorer the area, the more likely that you may encounter some difficulties. So people, I mean, the general population here does not have access to firearms. Unless you're part of a larger gang or a cartel or part of the police or part of the military, you don't have any firearms. These are some soldiers from the army of Guatemala. What? George, how do you say army in Espanol?
Ejército.
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 There are volcanoes everywhere here. Everywhere. Take a little pit stop, get a little exercise. I really don't want her drinking that water, but you know, whatever. You see what I mean? Like, I know some girl on Instagram that would charge you $70 for a cutting of that, whatever it is. To the untrained eye, this just looks like a mess, a mat of vines, but this is all morning glories. It grows here kind of in the same way that kudzu does in the United States. Look over there. That is a variegated monstera. Probably a monstera deliciosa. Variegated. I'm like, one node off of that plant in the United States is worth like, I don't know what the current market price is, but I've seen them fetch up to $300.
Bueno.
Accident.
Oh my God, do you smell that? Well, I don't know what is going on here. My buddy thinks it might be the sugar cane, where they process the sugar cane, I guess where they throw it away and it becomes all, I guess where they compost it. But it smells like ass. I mean, it smells like straight ass. It smells like sewage. It smells like somebody sprayed sewage all over the place. I don't know. It smells really bad here. I don't like it. Una coco. We're about 2 hours away from the north border. No, the south border, sorry. If those dickweeds hadn't screwed us around all last night and all this morning at the north border, then we might be halfway through El Salvador by nightfall. But the sun is setting, and we're at least going to make it through into El Salvador, we hope. By then, probably bed down for the night, and then hopefully, I'm gonna pray to God that we only have one more day left on this trip. I am done. I'm done. Bro, that's a double rainbow. There's two. It's a road dog. Stop for gas, again, still in Guatemala. Approximately 40 kilometers, maybe 30 away from the border. So, got my road dog here. Another road dog back there, checking everybody out, making sure they're being cool. Get some gas. Mucho sudar.
That's what it said.
Here we are at what appears to be another checkpoint. And we've been through, I don't know, 7 or 8 of these things and just breeze right on through. I don't know if this will be the time that we get stopped or not. We'll see. Nope. No problem. So we've been advised by some gentleman standing on the street that we can pass all of these trucks even though we're in the oncoming traffic lane. These trucks are apparently waiting to be weighed and inspected and everything like that. We are now at the border with El Salvador. We are coming right now up to the border. We're in. Are we through? Is that it? Oh, there's the migration office.
No, vamos.
Well, this was an absolute breeze. We have been here for like maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and we both already have our passport stamps. Everything's good. We're right now trying to get pass the papers through for the dogs. Let everybody know that we have all their shots. We have they've been quarantined and all this other stuff. So we have all the paperwork for the dogs. The car's already clear. As soon as they're clear, we can hit the road. And like I said, we've been here for like 5 minutes. In Guatemala, this took maybe 2 or 3 hours. It took a very long time. So this has been excellent. My first impression of El Salvador is great. It looks good here. They're efficient. They're competent. They know what they're doing. This is good. So George is here at the photocopia. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Anyway, that's photocopy in English. And we have to make copies of a few of our documents to hand those in, but this has gone really fast. This has been really, really smooth. Well, please excuse an ignorant gringo, but we were not at the border crossing into El Salvador. That is ahead of us, and this river, I think, is the border between Guatemala and El Salvador. So what we had to do up there is get some documents in order, get our stamp that said we were officially leaving Guatemala, and then turn in our vehicle permit. And they cancel it immediately. And so now, headed over to El Salvador, see how it goes.
Okay.
We're right now in the border with Salvador. He's talking to some immigration officials here at the office. But we have officially crossed into El Salvador. This is the Salvador border. We're here at the office, in the immigration office. Have all of our documents. We're getting everything square and should be good to go soon. I'm here in the office in El Salvador. We're getting everything ready with the car. We have to get everything official so we can drive in this country legally, and that should be fast. So we made our way through the offices and everything. Here we are now. Original.
Pensamos sacarle ahora ya cuando llegáramos, para ya sacarle copia a todos los papeles para volver a tener las copias de todo.
As soon as we make it through here, we will be free and clear in El Salvador. We have all of our documents, everything's good. Jorge's gonna finish up with them. We made it, buddy. El Salvador.